Wake your ass up
or take a damn nap.
And we're the three best friends that anybody could have.
It's time.
Sean, you were twerking. That's gonna happen.
Murph, don't be a dick all your life.
It's one of the more fun podcasts I've ever done.
Hey, I tell you what, if you're not talking about sports in the man cave, I bet not say you not a man.
That's it.
Hey, 120 of stories inside the man cave. We're taking a different route today. We have a lot of guests who invest a lot of money into the local scene, and whether they're in Austin, Denver, anywhere across the country. And here in Austin, Texas, we have what I like to think is a top 10 eating food scene, everything that will tempt your palate. And one of the guys right here, Clay McPhail, he has deep roots to the city of Austin, University of Texas graduate, was the man behind the El Arroyo concept back in the day, and went to Denver and has come back and brought a new idea called 5280 Burger Bar. We'll get into that. Clay, thanks for being the first restaurateur to jump in the stories inside the man cave and carve out a little time with me.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, Sean. I do. This will be a lot of fun. I've seen a lot of the podcasts, and I appreciate you thinking about me.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it doesn't hurt that you have a good restaurant scene as far as the atmosphere right off of Far West and Northwest Hills, and on top of that, I'm checking off each of your burgers that you offer. They're gourmet. They're different. I know we have a great burger scene here in Austin, but yours are much different. I think everybody needs to give it a try at least once.
Have you tried the Ring of Fire yet?
No, that's I can visualize it. That's like third down on my list.
It's serious burger. Make me cry.
What's on it? Is it a ghost pepper?
Habanero Serrano and a habanero Serrano sauce. They've been sauteed.
Yeah,
it's a great burger, lots of flavor, but it's a serious burger. You have to be ready. How about
we make that happen here very soon? Hey, before we move forward, got to give a big shout out to our segment one sponsor, Kevin Hutchison of Realty Austin. He's been in the real estate game for a couple of decades. He's definitely a native Austin, went to Anderson High School here in Austin, and he's now included the San Antonio real estate market. So a good chunk of the 512 and the 210, he knows all about that, and we know about the housing industry. It's really hard to shop by yourself and not have a guy who you can trust, and Kevin Hutchison is that guy. Well, to begin Clay's story, I guess after your UT days, when did you have that idea? Hey, I want to get into the food and service restaurateur industry. How did that part of your resume begin in this journey of yours?
Well, I was a bartender, actually a barback, and then a bartender at a place called The Bucket, way before your time. Then I got out and got into business, and after the business, I sold the business and didn't make any money. I decided I needed a job, and Craig Gatewood at Lakeview Cafe hired me as a fry cook. And I was a fry cook there until he went in for back surgery, and his wife was pregnant with Tyler Gatewood. And they asked me to close the restaurant, and so I started managing, and from there it just evolved. And when El Arroyo came up, I called the only guy I knew with money, which was Doug English, and said, "Let's open El Arroyo. You're an NFL star, let's do it." And he said, "Let's do it." And that was 1986, and we opened March 1st, 1987.
And I remember that I left Austin in 93. After a year and a half after graduating, didn't come back till 2012. So El Arroyo is a special place in all of our hearts who have ties prior to the 90s. Now, El Arroyo had a tremendous run. They're still the one on 5th Street near Mopac. You had the one that I was tied to off of Far West and I think Wood Hollow, that shopping center. So take us through that experiment, which was a success.
I have to admit, it was Doug English's idea for the sign.
Okay.
And he's the one that said we're changing it every night. So I changed it about 9,500 times in my career. And then in 1989, we found a spot down in San Marcos and opened El Arroyo San Marcos, which eventually the university took back. It's part of the admissions project right there. And then we went to Dallas. We went to Fort Worth. I sold those in, I believe, 95. And then we opened one in 94 in New Orleans. And we sold that one probably 3 years later because my liver told me I should. And I listened to my liver. And we opened up Round Rock probably 98 and had a great run in Round Rock. It's a great town and had a lot of fun. And then I sold, we had one in Arlington that we ended up franchising and sold the land, and it's still there. And so I sold the catering, Fifth Street, and Far West, where you're talking about where we were, in 2012, almost 25 years to the day. I mean, almost 10 years to the day. So I had it 24 years and 11 months.
No, that's a solid run. It really is. I mean, I will say this, when I returned, so you closed it not long after I returned to Austin, and my heart was broken because I love that Far West location. In the Fifth Street, that's the one that has all the personality. It has a tremendous amount of person. The Far West did too, but in its own unique way. So you went to Denver after that and started up with a unique concept, and the name itself, it really, the Mile High City, the measurement in feet, 5,280, 5,280, however you refer to it. So that concept in Denver, and what provoked you to try it here in Austin?
Well, I always wanted to come back to Austin. I lived here 44 years. This is where my friends is. This is where the University of Texas is. And I always wanted to come home. And when this spot became available, it was just a natural. I knew the landlord, who's a great guy, and there's a couple of them. And I talked to him, and we had an understanding, and they wanted me back in, and I wanted to be back in. They actually went to Denver and Westminster, went both of our 5280s in Colorado. And he said, I think that's a great concept for this area.
So when you look at Austin, and for those who may be thinking, okay, there's quite a few options, there's local franchises, a burger concept. What is it about that you think that not only the location off of Far West, but just the overall decision, you can thrive, and why you think Austin continues to it flourishes with these not burger bars, but the burger concept, so to speak?
Everybody wants to get in the restaurant business.
Yeah.
We try to set ourselves apart with quality and freshness, and we're also table service. So, there's no line to stand in. We have craft drinks. We have 18 craft beers on tap, 9 from Texas, 9 from Colorado. We're kind of keeping count. And right now we're sitting at about 1,485 Texas and 1,406 Colorado. So they're just running neck and neck. We've got a great staff. We've got an outdoor area. We've got a bar area and bar seating. And we have great servers. And so I think that's what sets us apart, is the freshness and the flavor profile of the 11 burgers that we have. And we always have special burgers. We have great salads. And so we're just set ourselves apart by being a little bit more of an upscale restaurant.
No, I agree. And I'll be honest with you. I know it took a while, but I felt like an 8-year-old kid on Christmas morning when I found out that you were opening that at that same location where you had the El Arroyo there. And I've been to your place probably 4 or 5 times, tried something new. The atmosphere continues to grow and improve. And it's just, I think it surpassed El Arroyo's when it was there. And the last time was for a Texas Longhorn basketball game with some mutual friends of ours. That middle room, do you foresee that being a designated game watching area for it is now for basketball, but maybe football in the future?
We call it our private party room, our PDR. It's been a little bit of everything. We actually had the reunion of the UT cheerleaders in there. We've had several bunco groups in there. We've watched a lot of TV, but we've also, when the restaurant gets filled, we open the barn doors up and we seat in there as regular seating.
Okay.
It's been a lot of fun. We've had some fun stuff in there.
So what would be the next item on the agenda for you as far as I know you're always looking to evolve and improve and add. Is what we see, is that the final product for this 5280 location?
Well, we've been doing, we've had 5280 in Denver for 7 years. So we've gone through a lot of different burgers, and we're constantly changing our meat. We're doing a little bit more brisket and a little bit less shoulder and a little bit more pork. We're always moving around. We do taste tests about every 2 weeks. We pretty much have it down, but we're adding soups. And we are going to continue having special burgers. We got some great special burgers coming. We've got a Cabernet burger with blue cheese that we've been taste testing. It's just fantastic.
Wow. Yeah, I'm excited. On this day we're recording this, it's cold, it's rainy, and I'm not motivated, but Clay, you may have just motivated me to get up and go try something new today. Yeah, that's a great place, and but for you, what were your favorite 3 spots as a UT student? And you don't have to tell us the year.
Oh, I love Dirty's.
Yep.
The Bonanza. I'm dating myself now. The Bonanza Steakhouse was the only steak I could afford in town.
Right.
And of course, I actually liked Sid's. That was on Lamar, but way before your time. And then, of course, the Stallion. And the other one I'd like to mention was, oh gosh, what's the name of that? I lost it. Anyway, I love those places.
You remember Christie's?
Oh yeah, seafood.
God, the beautiful view. It just abruptly left. I just things changed quickly. If I was like 8 years old, 9 years old when it was there, and then God, but that should have been a sign of the times of how quickly Austin was changing,
evolving. Yeah, I love Magic Time Machine. I actually tried. Yes. I applied there as Superman, and they said no. But Magic Time Machine was a lot of fun.
Oh my God, that was a lot of fun. The Scampies.
Yep.
Those old ones. God, see now, I think I remember some of the old school that I could hang around in a conversation with you just for a little bit. But man, you're naming off some names of places that were legendary to Austin, the restaurant scene. Before we move on to the best part of this episode, the best part's always the Man Cave story, but we have to pay homage and give respect to, in a certain segment I called Manscaping. No, there will be no true manscaping. That would shut down the podcast world. But manscaped.com, if you've not heard of it, a lot of people know about it. One of their marketing pieces of marketing information, it's absolutely hilarious, but that's part of this. Manscaped.com has serviced over, and this is true, I didn't check, but over 8 million balls across the world. And that's part of their information. But their Lawnmower 4.0 is for below the belt, for all of our men trying to keep everything looking clean.
Oh, you said bald? I thought you said bald.
Oh, well, that too. Balls. And then they have quite a few array of products, which are absolutely phenomenal. I laughed, I hesitated, and I'm on board now. It has changed my weekly grooming, so to speak. So give it a chance. Go to manscaped.com and use this special promo code right here, MANCAVE20. After you check out the products, the latest and greatest one is a multiple products that they have, and they have their own periodical. And the top headline is, "We'll make your balls happy." But it's not all about that. It's all ears, nose, everything. You just got to keep them trim. You don't want these unsightly strands to ruin your day or ruin a first impression. Use ManCave 20% off of your first order by using that promo code. All right, my friend, Clay McPhail, 5280 owner, and was the El Arroyo genius. So your man cave story, it could be anything related to your restaurant career, your college days, all of your moving between Austin and Denver and elsewhere, or maybe even a UT sports related man cave
Mine
story.
is UT sports related.
I can't wait.
And it's a sign. It's the sign before we played Alabama in the national championship game. We put on the sign, "The only Crimson Tide we fear comes once a month." And the man cave part of it is the Alabama Booster Club got a hold of my address, and I got between 600 and 800 emails from them.
Awesome.
Really nice stuff like, if I was in my pickup and you were in front of me, I would run over your ass. They're serious about their Alabama football. They didn't think that was funny at all, and especially when it made ESPN.com.
I do remember that now. I'm glad you reminded me of that, because that's why Jim Saxton, State Farm Insurance, and he's an Austin OG. He remembers that. That's why he sponsors these man cave stories. Jim Saxton of Westlake OG, you'll hear more from him, more about him, and well, you know him in the middle segment. That's funny because, you know, Alabama has been winning forever. Why would they be offended? It's funny for them to dish out the criticism or dish out the losses and everything else until it's reversed on them. Act like a champion. Don't let things – I don't understand it.
Well, I think one of the emails pointed out that all the other teams were going to start using that. And so they were going to see that for years and years, and I don't know if they have or not. But
that's anyway, too genius.
That's my man cave story.
I love it. Clay McPhail, that's – I cannot believe I didn't remember that going into this episode. And as you discussed it and talked about it going to ESPN.com, I do. That was 2009 season, correct?
It was. It was Coy, good grief. Coy Clark.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Whew. That was what could have been.
Colt McCoy. My goodness. I'm going to go take some Prevagen. I'll be right back. How do you forget that guy?
Woo, Lord, that game. I was in Oklahoma City at the time, and that it got awkwardly silent where I was at the time, and you just knew. You knew at that point something was not going to happen that would be positive. But hey, Garrett Gilbert almost let him back.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Clay, we're going to take a quick break just to pay bills, to give Jimmy Saxton an opportunity to give him some credit. But on the other side, we're going to talk a little bit about, from the sports angle, we're going to test your sports knowledge or give you the stage to talk about sports-related topics, and that is on the other side of this break. For all of your insurance needs, look no further than our primary sponsor, Jim Saxton State Farm Insurance Agency. The ATX OG has been insuring Austin for over 3 decades. And get this, Jim Saxton is a Longhorn legacy. He is the son of the late, great James Saxton, who was a Heisman finalist. Be sure to give him a call, or better yet, visit his website, saxtoninsurance.com, and tell him that the stories inside the Man Cave Boys recommended you. Hey, that was one of our quicker breaks. I would say about 20 episodes ago, we had a full house. There were 4 or 5 people, and I got real arrogant and thought I had time. And I was in the restroom, and I got caught. And I was vacant. I came back. There were people chiming in. Of course, I was not a popular person returning. that on that episode. But episode 120, Clay McPhail, you need to go to his restaurant and at least give it a chance. You'll come back. 5280 Burger Bar off of Far West. But segment 2 here, brought to you by FarmhouseDelivery.com. It is an ATX-based company. They source organic produce and meats grown here in the state of Texas. It's amazing. I'm now hooked to eggplant and Texas-grown blueberries because of them. Phenomenal. And they will deliver it to your door. Use the promo code MANCAVE for 20% off of your first order. Now, are you a big college basketball guy, Clay?
You know, I was back in the day, especially the Abe Lemons days. I'm aging myself, but of course, I've watched UT sports since I was in high school.
Yeah,
but I
Abe Lemons.
Old McCoy's name, so I'm not really thinking that I'm going to be up for all the questions that you have for college basketball.
Well,
mainly I follow UT. I don't really follow anything else.
Oh, I get it. 100%. There is, we got March Madness on the horizon, and he's going to be one of the best coaches that goes down in one of the history of head coaches. That's Tom Izzo from Michigan State. Well, I don't know if you saw the video of Juwan Howard from Michigan after they played Wisconsin. Things got really heated. Juwan Howard, one of the Fab Five from back in the early 90s, disagreed with something that was said and reached out and slapped. He was trying to punch, but he ended up slapping one of the Wisconsin assistants. So now there's this talk, a movement of discontinuing the post-game handshakes between the teams. And before, I want to hear your opinion on that after we hear from Tom Izzo. You'll like this. I think he is speaking to both of us when he dishes out his opinion on this, because this is right. It's kind of relative to society right now.
We've already taught these poor 18-year-olds that when you're told to go to class and you don't like it, you can leave. We've already told these kids, if you're not happy, you can do something else. We've already told these kids that it's hard to hold them accountable, and now we're going to tell them to not man up and walk down a line on someone who's kicked your butt and have enough class to shake their hand is utterly ridiculous. So if the president said it, I think he's full of it. If the best coach in America said it, I think that gets me way more than this incident. Not shaking hands. That's typical of our country right now. Instead of solving the problem, let's make an excuse and let's see if we can just, instead of confronting and demanding that it changes, let's eliminate it so that we
spoken truth for president. I where the fund is, because I'll be the first person to donate. I 100% agree with him. When somebody does something wrong, you don't change it where nobody can do it wrong again. Right. It's just, that's the problem with our country right now. That's why nobody can get employees. We're telling people you can sit on your couch and smoke dope and watch TV and make as much money as you can out busting your butt. You can't change the rules because somebody does something wrong. They should be held accountable, whether it's a civil lawsuit or a crime or they go to jail. Everybody needs to pay for what, if they do something wrong, they need to pay for it. It's the only way we're going to survive as a country or a world.
I agree 100%. And it has nothing to do with generational thinking. It's just what's right.
It's
what's
right
wrong.
And wrong. Absolutely.
We've all failed, but we suffered consequences. We weren't rewarded for failing. We weren't rewarded for not giving an effort. We weren't rewarded.
No blue ribbons for coming in last.
Participation ribbons and trophies. I hate to say it. I'm just going to be, we're pretty open in this podcast, but that's one thing about our society that has really pissed me off more than anything is the participation trophy. Oh, you showed up. We got to reward you. You know, and I feel for people like you, in the food service industry. You're giving people opportunities to pay them and give them opportunities to move up. And this is, I'm not just pointing you out. I'm talking about the industry, any business owner. And I get what we're going through, what we have experienced with this pandemic. But now we reached a point where people expect it. And that's in our work ethics and the laziness. Some people may not watch my this podcast anymore, but they're the problem. If that offends them.
Well, this isn't Republican and Democrat. This is,
right.
Again, what you said. It's right and wrong. It is, you go out and you be a man or you be a woman and you get a job and you fulfill your obligations and you treat it like this is who you are and what you do. It has nothing to do with politics. This is all about being a good person and being a person that is positive for society.
100%. It's and Tom Izzo, if you want to relate it to sports, we can all relate sports to life, and that being in basketball and other sports, you shake hands with your opponent, give them the due respect, and you just all it is shaking their hand. Good game.
Yeah, you go out and you fight as hard as you can, and you win sometimes, and you are going to lose sometimes. And when you win and when you lose, you have your head up and you look people in the eye and you say, "Good game."
Yeah, and that's the way it is. And in life, we're also going to lose opportunities or business deals, or somebody's going to disagree, and you say, "I appreciate it, move on."
You're going to lose a contract. You're going to lose a bid on a house. It's going to happen. And when you do, you don't get mad at them. You say, "I understand he paid $100,000 more than that house is worth, and I'm willing to. You can have it." And good luck. And
we're moving on. We're moving forward. That's oh my God. So this topic, Texas basketball. By the way, follow us on Twitter at Stories Man Cave, and then Stories Inside the Man Cave on Instagram. Instagram is pretty fun, by the way. A lot of colorful photos, a lot of colorful, some feedback. It's that part has been fun as I'm an older guy trying to learn how to do that. But Coach Beard, Longhorns men's basketball coach, for those watching across the country or in other parts of the great state of Texas, Northwest Hills is where Clay and I are in the 78731. That's our zip code. So Coach Beard, there's been a Coach Beard sighting quite a bit in this area. He's been at a certain bar off of Hart in Far West. He's been seen at other parties. He's done a pretty good job this year in his first year. Regardless of that, I think I'm going to speak for Clay McPhail on this. I think his presence at 5280 would be greatly appreciated, I think.
Well, it absolutely is. But we've got Scott Smith and you and Don Pryor, and we've got other people that I love having in there. But I'd love to have him in there just because I respect him. I think he's doing a fantastic job. I love his passion. I love his intelligence. I love his knowledge of the game. But, there's a lot of great people I'd like to have in there.
Yeah. And it's not limiting. I think Coach Beard would be a lot of fun because what I know about him, I don't know him well. I don't know him that well at all, but he is a good storyteller. And if people, I don't know if he would welcome it, but his stories and his ability and how he tells the stories, it's absolutely phenomenal and very uniquely different. That a lot of people, your bartenders would probably love them to sit at your bar.
You just popped in my mind I don't know if you remember this or not, but Abe Lemons used to do a deal on Wednesday at lunch, and it was better than any comedy show going anywhere. And people got to ask him questions, and it started out 20 or 30 people. What is Gerald Dardery's bar down on 6th Street? What was the name of that? It was a sports bar. It started out 15 or 20, and by the end, they were hanging from the rafters. And he just came in and he talked about the games before that week, talked about recruiting and answered questions. And I could see Coach Beard doing that, and I am willing to donate my PDR for him.
That's a perfect area.
It is. He needs to get up there and do a little talking, but I think he would be great at telling stories like Abe was. Abe was my hero. I never met him, but he was my hero.
You know what's funny, Clay? So growing up, my late father would, if you remember old Lamar Volkswagen,
Sure.
George Lawrence, that group. And so he worked for them. And we would get tickets to back when the Irwin Center was in its infant years. We'd go eat in the burnt orange room. And so Abe, obviously, we started going Abe's when Mike Wacker's knee injury happened, and then they started tanking.
At the Baylor game.
Oh, that was up in Waco, right?
It was. That tartan floor.
And what was it? The old Heart of Texas Coliseum, something like that?
Something like that.
So we went, and then the Kaiser, Bob Weltlich was hired, and that was not a good deal.
Yikes.
But Abe Lemons was kind of like you, was my hero. So I always said I would never work or live in Oklahoma. Well, my third job in my media career took me to Oklahoma City, and one of my goals was to go find the Lemons and do a story on his family. The arena at Oklahoma City University is Bob Lemons. Lemons or Abe Lemons Arena, and I found his wife and his daughter, and we did all the one-liners. And as you know, what was your favorite one-liner from Abe Lemons while he was at Texas, if you recall any?
Actually, it wasn't a line. It was when Ken Montgomery from Indianapolis had the ball and he was going to fake it up, and it went out of his hands and landed in Abe's arms, and Abe wouldn't let the ball go. He just stared at him, and the official came over and tried to get it away from him, and he just did like this and wouldn't let him have the ball. He was so mad. He just went like this, and the ball flew out of his hands. His one-liners were incredible. The TV show where he sits up out of the coffin, "We ain't dead yet." I mean, you remember that?
I remember. Honestly, it's on YouTube.
Is it?
I think so.
You'll have to check it out.
So when those early years of the Irwin Center, he and Eddie Sutton at Arkansas, that was a huge rivalry. One of them was smoking in the Irwin Center, if I remember correctly. Who was it? Do you remember?
I don't remember that.
I remember one of them smoking, lighting it up in the Irwin Center. I don't remember who did it.
I remember when they got in a fight.
Yes. Yeah.
When Sutton went up to Johnny Moore and grabbed him and said, "You're too good of a player to do that," and shook him. And Abe went over and pulled him away from him. And I remember they said, reporters came to him after the game and said, Sutton said he didn't touch him. And he said, if he said that, he's a lying son of a bitch. And next time I see him, I'm going to rip his Sunday suit. Love that guy.
They won the NIT back when it was more of a prestigious, I think. Well, NCAA had 32 teams and NIT had 32 or something like that.
Right.
Something like that.
Ron Baxter, John Danks, Krivax. What a great team. What a great group of guys.
I wish I was only 5 years old at the time, but I do recall it as a big piece in history. Now, I usually try to find a TikTok. I'm still trying to learn TikTok, but there's some pretty amusing videos on there. The things people put out there, it's absolutely comical, but makes you wonder. But I couldn't find one this week, Clay, but one of my fraternity brothers from Stephen F. Austin, we're all dads except for me. Been married before, if that counts. His 5-year-old son, what position in the infield would you say would be the toughest to play?
Shortstop.
Okay, that's right. This guy is a 5-year-old playing with bigger kids on the hot corner, third base. I want to show you this video. This is his son, and I'm overly impressed. And he's only 8 years old, and this ended up on ESPN. Go. 1. So that gives you Just two plays, but that first one became viral. ESPN ran it. I mean, he makes the quick adjustment, quick feet stab, and was able to turn against his momentum and make that long throw to first. How many times have you seen an 8-year-old do that?
Never. Not one time. I'll tell you, the little league teams I was on, I didn't even know that the World Series was in Williamsport. I never heard of Williamsport. There wasn't any reason to mention to anybody on my little league team where the college world, the high little league World Series was.
That was
whatsoever. I wish I could tell you I was a good athlete.
Yeah. Well, I never came close to the Little League World Series, and that's all I can say. Average at best, athlete. Average at best on a good day.
I played everything, just not well.
Yeah, you and I are very similar.
Hey, man, tell me something good.
Clay, this is how we like to end these episodes because everyone seems so negative these days. Everybody seems to just pour it on people, make posts on Twitter at other people's expense. Not everybody, but there's a lot of negativity. So we thought when we started this, we would reverse the trend. Let's tell the people something good. Clay, do you have anything going on in your world or something you've seen lately that you think you could infuse some positivity?
Absolutely. Everybody keeps saying you were 7 years in Denver, 44 years in Austin, and 7 years in Denver. Hadn't it changed? Isn't it horrible? And here's the good news is it's not. We still have the same great guys running around this city. The guys like the late, great Pike Powers that helped make Austin what it is, and Ron Kessler, and the leaders that we have, not the elected leaders, the non-elected leaders that we have right now. This is still a great town with fantastic people in it, best people in the world. And for people to overlook that because we're getting bigger and higher and taller and wider they're missing the point. It's still Austin, and the people that made Austin are still here. The families like the Pewitts and Wallace and Lynette Smith, and the solid people that make Austin a absolutely special place, not just visually, but to live here and to be a part of.
That's well said, and I think what you said. And by the way, Tell Me Something Good, sponsored by Kevin Hutchison of Realty Austin. He's went to high school with me at Anderson. He's a great guy, and we mentioned him earlier, but. I think I'm one of those people that sometimes looks back and say, God, I'm okay with change as long as it's positive change and we're not going the wrong direction. But Clay, I'll admit to you right now, and I don't really admit this to anybody, but yeah, I'm one of those people, even though I'm a very positive person, I have got caught up with the point of others. Sometimes I'll say, wow, man, this ain't Austin anymore. Well, what I've noticed is over the last 6 months is I'm wrong. Yes, it's change. Change is inevitable, and you want change, but you don't. We may not look the same, but we still have our foundation. We still have uniqueness, and there's still things existing here. If you look at Dallas or Houston, and let's go outside the state to other places, you don't find that. We're very lucky that we live here, and but change is inevitable. And the names you listed, the foundation of Austin, who have helped make it what it is, man, we're lucky, no doubt about it. And I'm lucky to have crossed paths with you as well, my friend.
Well, I did learn something today. I know I need to get a camera like you and look down, keep all these chins hidden. Next time I'm doing this. Kind of hide those chins. So I learned something that production from you today.
Hey, you know what I did in the early stages of this? I found a thick novel-like book and put my laptop up on top of that.
I think I'd rather just, I have my high school reunion coming up. I'm going to do like I did at my last one. When people kind of look and they're not sure who I am, I'll go, just a second. I think I'll just do that next time. I'll stick my head out of the window going about 80. Look like I used to.
Get some
bone structure.
Yeah. Hey, it's still there.
Yeah.
Like I tell people, I do have abs. It's just, you know what I mean?
They're covered up.
Yeah, it's insulated for the winter. You know,
it's been a long winter for me. About
oh my God.
20-year winter.
Hey, where'd you go to high school?
Tyler Lee.
Oh, old Robert E. Lee.
I did.
Okay.
Which is now Legacy High School.
Correct. So I have spent a lot of time in East Texas, and I actually covered that high school football scene back in the day. JT, Longview, Robert E. Lee, Marshall, Nacogdoches, Lufkin.
You lucky dog.
Man, that's good football.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Football when I was there.
Oh, it wasn't good, Lee?
Well, John Tyler was, but
JT was.
Lee wasn't much. I think the first time they won the championship was 2004 because they played the Ohio championship the night before the Ohio State Texas game in Columbus.
I remember that. I couldn't remember what year it was, though. So it was 05.
It was the 05 year, so they won the state championship in 04.
Right.
I actually got to go up there with the greatest football player in the history of the world, Earl Campbell.
Earl, that is a fine human being.
Yes, he is.
I had Tyler, his youngest son, on recently. You talk about
what a good kid he is. Him and Christian just couldn't be better kids.
I tell you what, we need to get the Campbells, Earl, Christian, Tyler, and even if Miss Campbell, 5280. Let's see if we can get that going.
We need to do that. He was a regular at El Arroyo, but he officed behind me. So
is that right?
There, pardon?
He had an office behind you.
He did. He owned the building on 6th Street right behind me.
Oh yeah, that's okay. I don't know why. I need to get out of the Far West thinking. I was thinking of that Far West location. Well, Clay, it has been a pleasure, and I may pop in and surprise you soon. But everyone watching, this guy is a significant piece of restaurant history in Austin. If you're in Austin or do like everyone else, everyone's traveling to Austin. Look up the address for 5280 Burger Bar and tell Clay that Stories Inside the Man Cave Boys sent you. And speaking of, my friend, for the OG Man Cave Boys, that being Big Mike, Coach Mo, and Hardball Harge, and for I want to call him a modern-day ATX legend, that himself, Clay McPhail, we are out.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up.